The morning started like any other Tuesday on Earth. People went to work, children walked to school, and traffic moved slowly through busy streets. Then the sky went dark. Giant ships appeared above every major city on the planet. They were huge beyond anything humans had ever seen. Each ship was the size of a small country, blocking out the sun with their dark metal bodies. The ships made no sound as they hung in the air like sleeping giants. Jake Morrison was eating breakfast in the White House when his phone started ringing. The President of the United States looked out the window and saw the massive shadow covering Washington, D.C. He put down his coffee cup and walked to his office. "Sir, we have a situation," said Katie Williams, his chief aide. She was running down the hallway with papers in her hands. "Every city on Earth is reporting the same thing. Alien ships, hundreds of them." Morrison nodded slowly. He had been waiting for this day for 20 years. "Get me General Hayes on the phone, and call the UN. Tell them we need an emergency meeting in 1 hour." Around the world, people stopped what they were doing and stared up at the sky. In Tokyo, business workers stood on sidewalks taking pictures with their phones. In London, children pointed from school windows. In Sydney, surfers stayed in the water, watching the ships reflect on the ocean surface. Then the message came. Every television, radio, and computer on Earth received the same broadcast at exactly noon. The voice was deep and cold, speaking perfect English, Spanish, Chinese, and every other human language at the same time. "People of Earth, you are now under the control of the hegemony. We have conquered 47 worlds before yours. You will give us your weapons. You will end your governments. You will prepare to serve us. You have 72 hours to surrender. If you fight us, we will destroy your planet completely." The message played 3 times, then stopped. The ships remained silent in the sky. In New York, world leaders gathered at the United Nations building. The massive alien ship above cast the entire city in shadow. Streetlights turned on automatically, thinking it was nighttime. President Morrison walked into the emergency meeting room where leaders from every nation waited. Prime ministers, presidents, and kings sat around a large table, all looking nervous and scared. "Well," Morrison said, sitting down heavily in his chair, "I guess this is it." The room was quiet for a moment. Then Morrison started to smile. The smile became a chuckle. The chuckle became loud laughter. "Sir," Katie Williams whispered, "this is not funny. They said they would destroy us." Morrison wiped his eyes and looked around the room at the confused faces. "Oh, but it is funny. These aliens have no idea what they just did." The Russian president, Viktor Petrov, leaned forward. "What do you mean, Jake?" Morrison stood up and walked to the window. The alien ship hung above them like a metal cloud. "They gave us an ultimatum. They told us to surrender or die. They think this will scare us, should it not?" asked the Japanese Prime Minister. Morrison turned back to the room, still smiling. "Has anyone here ever met a human who likes being told what to do?" Several leaders started to smile too. The French President Marie Dubois began to laugh. "They do not know us very well, do they?" "Exactly," Morrison said. "They probably studied our technology, our weapons, our governments. But I bet they never studied our history. They never learned about human nature." General Lisa Hayes entered the room carrying a thick folder. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been preparing for this day her entire career. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, setting the folder on the table, "I need to tell you about Operation Mockingbird. We have been planning for an alien invasion for 30 years. The room became very quiet. 30 years ago, we found something in the desert, a crashed ship. Not one of theirs, but close enough. We learned that Earth was not alone in the universe. We learned that some aliens were not friendly. So we prepared." She opened the folder and spread out photographs and documents. "Every major city has hidden defenses. Every military base has secret weapons. We have ships in space that the aliens cannot see. We have been ready for this war since before most of you took office." The British Prime Minister, John Clark, picked up one of the photographs. It showed what looked like a normal park, but with lines drawn to show hidden missile launchers beneath the grass. "How did you keep this secret?" he asked. "We told everyone it was earthquake research," Hayes said. "Or road construction, or new subway systems. People believe what they want to believe." Morrison looked around the room again. "So here's what I think we should do. These aliens want our surrender in 72 hours. I say we give them an answer they will never forget." On the alien flagship above New York, Commander Vexthar watched the human city through his viewing screen. He was 8 feet tall with natural armor covering his body. His species had been conquering worlds for over 1,000 years. "Commander," said his Lieutenant Colron, "the humans are gathering in their leadership building." "Good," Vexthar replied. "They will surrender soon. This species looks weak. Small bodies, no natural weapons, primitive technology. This will be our easiest conquest yet. Should we prepare landing parties? Send 200 warriors to their military center, the building with the 5-sided shape. Take their surrender documents and prepare the planet for integration." Colron bowed and left the bridge. Vexithar had conquered worlds filled with creatures that could breathe fire, species with minds that could crush metal, and civilizations with weapons that could crack planets. But every one of them had surrendered when faced with the power of the hegemony. These humans would be no different. Back on Earth, President Morrison finished his secure phone call with military commanders around the world. Every nation was reporting the same thing. Their hidden defenses were ready. Their secret weapons were charged. Their soldiers were excited. "Katie," Morrison called to his aide, "send a message to every news station on Earth. Tell them the president will address the world in 1 hour." "What will you tell them, sir?" Morrison looked out the window at the alien ship blocking the sun. "I am going to tell them the truth, that we have been preparing for this day for 30 years, that we are not afraid, and that any alien species stupid enough to threaten humanity is about to learn why we are the most dangerous species on this planet." He walked back to his desk and sat down. "And Katie, make sure you record everything. Our grandchildren are going to want to see this." The 72-hour countdown had begun, but the aliens had made one critical mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare, and humans were very good at preparing for war. The sun was rising on the second day when the alien landing party came down from the sky. 200 of the hegemony's best warriors landed on the grass outside the Pentagon. Each alien was 8 feet tall and covered in natural armor that looked like metal scales. They carried weapons that could destroy buildings with a single shot. Colonel Pete Johnson was waiting for them. He sat at a small folding table on the Pentagon lawn, drinking coffee from a paper cup and reading the morning newspaper. He wore his regular army uniform and looked completely calm. A small radio played country music beside him. The aliens marched toward him in perfect formation. Their heavy footsteps made the ground shake. Their leader, Lieutenant Colron, activated his translation device and spoke in a voice like grinding stone. "Human, we are here to accept your surrender. Take us to your leaders immediately." Johnson looked up from his newspaper and smiled. "Morning, fellas. Beautiful day, isn't it?" He took another sip of coffee. "Y'all want some?" "I made extra." Colron was confused. This human showed no fear. Where were the crowds of terrified people? Where were the white flags of surrender? "You do not understand," Colron said, raising his weapon. "We are the hegemony. We have come to conquer your world. You will obey us or die." Johnson folded his newspaper neatly and stood up slowly. He was much shorter than the aliens, but something in his eyes made them step back. "Well, now that is a problem," Johnson said. "See, we Americans have this funny thing about being told what to do. We just don't like it very much." He reached into his pocket and pressed a small button. The ground around the Pentagon exploded into action. What the aliens had thought were normal hills and trees suddenly opened up. Hidden doors in the earth swung wide. Missile launchers rose from beneath fake rocks. Gun turrets emerged from artificial bushes. The aliens found themselves surrounded by weapons they had never seen before. Human soldiers poured out of underground tunnels, all of them smiling and laughing like they were at a party. "Welcome to Earth," Johnson said, picking up his coffee cup. "Hope you brought more than just one fleet." High above the planet, Captain Amy Davis stood on the bridge of the EDS Liberty. She was a small woman with short blonde hair and the fastest reflexes in the space defense corps. Her ship was one of 50 that had been hidden on the dark side of the moon for 20 years. "Captain," said Lieutenant Ben Parker, her weapons officer, "alien fleet is moving into attack position. They think they have us outnumbered." Davis smiled. "How many ships do they have?" 300, ma'am. "And how many do we have?" Parker grinned. "Well, if you count the mining ships, cargo haulers, and civilian vessels we armed last month. About 2,000. Launch everything," Davis ordered. "And Ben, make sure everyone has their music playing. I want those aliens to hear us coming." The human fleet that rose to meet the aliens was unlike anything the hegemony had ever seen. These were not sleek warships built for battle. They were converted garbage trucks, modified school buses, and farm equipment that had been fitted with weapons and rocket engines. The lead ship was a former pizza delivery truck that now carried enough firepower to level a city. Its pilot, a teenager named Danny Martinez, had painted flames on the side and installed speakers that played heavy metal music at full volume. "This is Pizza Death calling all units," Danny broadcast on the radio. "Anyone want extra cheese with their laser beams?" The aliens tried to understand what they were seeing. Their ships were perfect examples of military engineering. The human ships looked like they had been built in someone's garage by people who had never seen a spaceship before, which was exactly right. Commander Vexthar watched the battle from his flagship and felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. His perfect military formations were being torn apart by humans who seemed to have no understanding of proper space combat. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "the humans are not following any known battle patterns. They are just doing whatever they want." A human ship that looked like a flying refrigerator rammed into one of his destroyers while playing circus music. Another ship, apparently made from old car parts, somehow managed to get behind his defensive line and was now shooting at everything with what appeared to be a modified garden hose. "How are they even flying?" Vexthar demanded. "We do not know, sir. Half of their ships should not be able to function in space, but they are not only flying, they are winning." On Earth, the battle was going just as badly for the aliens. The landing party at the Pentagon had been surrounded within minutes. Human soldiers appeared from everywhere: manholes in the street, fake storefronts, and even a hot dog cart that turned out to be an armored vehicle. Sergeant Roy Clark led a team of Marines who had painted their faces green and were making war cries like ancient warriors. They carried weapons that shot everything from rubber bullets to glue bombs to nets, filled with angry bees. "This is not how warfare works," one alien soldier said to another as they hid behind their damaged transport ship. "I know," his companion replied. "Where are their formations? Where is their strategy? Why are they enjoying this so much?" The humans were indeed enjoying themselves. After 30 years of preparation, they finally had a chance to test all their crazy ideas and secret weapons. Every weird invention that the military had rejected was now being used against the aliens. Dr. Helen Martinez led the science team from a bunker beneath the White House. She was surrounded by computers, alien technology, and several coffee machines. Her team had been studying the crashed alien ship for decades, and now they were ready to put their knowledge to use. "The alien shields are designed to stop energy weapons," she explained to General Hayes over the radio. "But they never planned for biological attacks. Or chemical weapons. Or weaponized sound." "Weaponized sound?" Hayes asked. "We discovered that their nervous systems cannot handle certain types of music. Specifically, death metal played at high volume causes them to become confused and disoriented." Within an hour, every human unit was broadcasting heavy metal music at maximum volume. The aliens, who were used to the quiet discipline of space combat, found themselves under attack by an enemy that treated war like a rock concert. The tide turned completely when Commander Sue Roberts brought her submarine fleet into play. The USS Defiance and 12 other subs had been hiding in the deepest parts of the ocean, waiting for this moment. "Alien ships are flying low over the Atlantic," Roberts reported. "They think water will protect them from our aircraft." She was a veteran of 3 wars and had been planning submarine tactics against flying enemies for 15 years. Her crew had modified their torpedoes to work in air, and loaded them with explosives that would make the aliens think twice about flying over Earth's oceans. "Fire everything," Roberts ordered. 12 nuclear torpedoes shot out of the water like dolphins, arced through the air and slammed into the alien ships. The explosions lit up the sky and sent 3 massive vessels crashing into the ocean. "Command, this is Roberts. We just proved that submarines can shoot down spaceships. Request permission to do it again." By the end of the second day, the alien invasion was falling apart. They had lost 50 ships, hundreds of warriors, and their confidence. The humans fought like nothing they had ever encountered before. Worse, the humans seemed to be having fun. Combat reports mentioned human soldiers laughing during firefights, painting jokes on their weapons, and playing pranks on captured aliens. Commander Vexthar called an emergency meeting with his officers. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They are a primitive species with basic technology. We should have conquered them in hours." "Sir," said his intelligence officer, I think we made an error in our assessment. We studied their technology and their governments, but we did not study their nature. What do you mean? They are not fighting like a civilized species, sir. They are fighting like wild animals who learned how to build spaceships. Vexithar looked out at the blue planet below. For the first time in his career, he wondered if the hegemony had made a mistake. The humans had not surrendered. They had not begged for mercy. They had not even seemed surprised. They had just started fighting back, and they were very, very good at it. The war that followed was nothing like what the hegemony expected. They had conquered 47 worlds using the same method every time. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, then occupy the planet. It was clean, efficient, and civilized. Humans did not fight civilized wars. Within the first week, Sergeant Roy Clark and his team had done something that should have been impossible. They had sneaked onto the alien flagship and planted explosives in the main weapon system. They did this by pretending to be janitors. How did they get past our security? Commander Vexthar demanded of his security chief. They said they were here to clean the waste disposal units, sir. They had official-looking uniforms and cleaning equipment. We thought it was a scheduled maintenance service. We do not have a scheduled maintenance service. We know that now, sir. The explosives went off during the aliens' morning briefing, destroying their primary weapons array and leaving a message painted on the wall. Humans were here. Thanks for the tour. Roy Clark and his team had escaped by hiding in the garbage disposal system and shooting themselves out into space in trash bags. They were picked up by a human rescue ship and were back on Earth in time for dinner. This set the tone for everything that followed. The aliens quickly learned that humans had weaponized everything on their planet. Farmer Joe Williams used his crop-dusting plane to drop chemical weapons on alien ground forces. The chemicals made the aliens break out in terrible rashes and gave them uncontrollable sneezing fits. "It is just fertilizer and pepper spray," Joe explained to the news reporters. "Same stuff I use to keep deer out of my cornfield. Works pretty good on aliens, too." Even Earth's animals seemed to be fighting the invasion. A pod of killer whales in the Pacific Ocean had learned to identify alien submarines and rammed them with coordinated attacks. A flock of Canadian geese brought down an alien fighter jet over Toronto by flying directly into its engines. "The geese are not even trained," said wildlife expert Dr. Karen Lopez. "They just really hate loud noises, and the alien ships are very loud." Dr. Helen Martinez had moved her research operation to an abandoned shopping mall in Nevada. The place was filled with captured alien technology, human inventions, and several coffee shops that stayed open 24 hours a day. Her team worked around the clock to reverse engineer alien weapons and find their weaknesses. "Their technology is very advanced," she explained to General Hayes during their daily video call, "but it is also very specialized. They designed everything to work in specific ways against specific threats." She held up a strange device that looked like a radio crossed with a microwave oven. For example, their shields can stop bullets, lasers, and explosions. But they cannot stop biological agents, sound waves, or electromagnetic interference. Electromagnetic interference? We can shut down their ships with modified garage door openers. Within days, every electronics store in America was sold out of garage door openers. Human technicians modified them to broadcast on alien frequencies. And suddenly alien ships started falling out of the sky when they flew over suburban neighborhoods. The turning point came when Captain Frank Miller decided to take matters into his own hands. Miller was a former demolitions expert who had been working construction before the invasion. He was also completely insane. "I want to blow up their mothership," he announced to his team of 12 volunteers. "Frank, that is suicide," said his partner, explosives expert Linda Wong. "Even if we get inside, we would never make it out." "Who said anything about making it out?" Miller replied, loading plastic explosives into a backpack. "I just want to see if we can make it go boom." Miller's team used a captured alien transport to fly directly to the mothership. They told alien traffic control that they were returning from a failed mission on Earth and needed medical attention. The aliens let them land without question. Once inside, Miller's team split up to plant explosives throughout the ship. They had studied the alien technology for months and knew exactly where to place the charges for maximum damage. "This is Miller calling anyone who is listening." He broadcast on all frequencies as his team reached the ship's reactor core. "We found their engine room and it is beautiful. Really, really beautiful. We are going to blow it up now. Miller, wait, General Hayes responded. You do not have an escape plan. Do not need one, Miller laughed. This is what we came here to do. The explosion could be seen from Earth. It took out a quarter of the alien fleet and sent shockwaves through space that damaged ships for hundreds of miles around. The mothership broke apart in a chain reaction that lit up the sky like a second sun. Commander Vexthar watched his flagship die and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not of death in battle, which was honorable, but of an enemy that valued victory more than survival. Sir, his communications officer reported with a shaking voice, we are receiving messages from Home Command. They want to know why we have not secured the planet yet. Tell them, Vexthar paused. How could he explain that this primitive species was destroying his fleet using garbage trucks and farm equipment? Tell them that humans are not like other species we have conquered. But the real shock came 3 days later when alien intelligence intercepted human communications and discovered the truth. Earth was not just fighting back. Earth was teaching other species how to fight back. Sir, the intelligence officer said, spreading star charts across the command table, we have a problem. The humans are broadcasting their military tactics to 47 different star systems. What do you mean? The worlds we conquered in the past 10 years. They are all in rebellion now, and they are using human methods. Vexthar stared at the reports. The lizard people of Vega were using modified farming equipment as weapons. The water breathers of Proxima had learned to hide their ships in gas clouds. The rock eaters of Centauri were playing loud music to confuse hegemony forces. How is this possible? The humans are holding what they call military training seminars over their communication networks. They are teaching the entire galaxy how to fight like humans. Captain Amy Davis stood on the bridge of the Liberty, watching as alien ships retreated from Earth's orbital space. Her communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, was coordinating with rebel forces across the galaxy. Admiral, we have incoming calls from 12 different species asking for tactical advice, Kim reported. Davis had been promoted after single-handedly destroying 6 alien cruisers using nothing but a converted ice cream truck. Patch them through, Davis replied. Time to teach the galaxy what we learned from 300 years of fighting each other. The first call came from the bird people of Alpha Centauri. Human Admiral, we need help. The hegemony has superior weapons and shields. How do we fight them? Do not fight their strengths, Davis explained. Fight their weaknesses. They expect you to use energy weapons, so use rocks. They expect organized military formations, so attack from everywhere at once. They expect you to be afraid, so laugh at them instead. Laugh at them? Trust me on this one. Nothing confuses a bully more than someone who is not afraid of them. The second call came from the tree people of Wolf 359. Admiral Davis, how do we hide our ships from their sensors? Paint them to look like space junk. Put fake asteroid surfaces on your hulls. Make them think you are debris floating in space. Then when they get close, surprise them. By the end of the month, 47 star systems were in full rebellion against the hegemony. Each one used different human tactics, guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, technological improvisation, and the ancient human art of making weapons out of household items. The fish people of Tau Ceti learned to hide their submarines in underwater caves and attack alien ships when they came down to drink water. The gas beings of Barnard's star discovered that they could infiltrate alien ships through the air recycling systems and cause havoc from the inside. Every species added their own twist to human tactics, creating a galaxy-wide network of rebels who shared ideas and strategies in real time. Commander Vexthar received his final orders from Hegemony High Command. Withdraw from the human system immediately. The rebellion is spreading too fast. We cannot afford to lose more ships. What about the conquest of Earth? Vexthar asked. Earth is no longer worth the cost. The humans have turned the entire galaxy against us. Retreat before they teach anyone else how to fight. As the alien fleet prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Vexthar looked back at the blue planet one last time. His species had been conquering worlds for over 1,000 years, but they had never met anyone like humans. These strange creatures had not just defeated the hegemony. They had turned defeat into victory, fear into laughter, and conquest into liberation. For the first time in hegemony history, they were the ones retreating. 3 months into the war, Commander Vexthar was no longer the confident conqueror who had first appeared above Earth. He stood in his command center, surrounded by damage reports and casualty lists that grew longer every day. "Status report," he demanded from his remaining officers. "We have lost 60% of our fleet," reported his tactical officer. "Human forces have destroyed 8 motherships, 26 destroyers, and captured 43 of our transport vessels." "How is this possible?" "They are a primitive species with basic technology." "Sir, with respect, I do not think they are primitive anymore." Vexthar looked at the tactical display showing Earth's solar system. Red dots marked human positions, and there were red dots everywhere. The humans had not just defended their planet. They had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. "Show me today's combat reports." The holographic display filled with battle footage from the past 24 hours. Human fighters attacked in ways that made no military sense. They used everything as weapons. Rocks launched from modified cargo ships, clouds of paint that blinded alien sensors, and swarms of modified consumer drones that carried explosive packages. "Look at this," the tactical officer said, highlighting one battle. "The humans sent a school bus full of mannequins dressed as soldiers toward our destroyer. When we fired on it, the bus exploded and released millions of tiny metal pieces that damaged our hull." "A school bus?" "Yes, sir. They painted it bright yellow and put a sign on the side that said, 'Alien Express next stop. Your doom.'" Vexthar watched human soldiers laughing as they loaded garbage cans with explosives and launched them from jury-rigged catapults. These creatures treated war like a game, but they were winning. The breaking point came when Captain Frank Miller's brother, Tony Miller, decided to finish what Frank had started. Tony was a plumber from Ohio who had never been in the military, but he had something the aliens could not understand: a complete lack of fear and an unlimited supply of creative anger. "I want to blow up their biggest ship," Tony announced to the volunteer force gathering in his backyard. "Tony, your brother already did that," said his neighbor, electrician Bob Turner. "He blew up their mothership 3 weeks ago. Then I want to blow up their next biggest ship. Frank always said I was better with explosives than he was." Tony's plan was simple and completely insane. He would take a team of 12 volunteers, fly directly to the alien command ship, and destroy it from the inside using nothing but construction equipment and household chemicals. "This is not a military operation," warned General Hayes when she heard about Tony's plan. "You are all civilians. You have no training." "Ma'am, with all due respect," Tony replied, "I have been blowing things up for 30 years. Rocks, tree stumps, frozen pipes, stubborn septic tanks. An alien spaceship is just a really big pipe that needs to be unstuck." Tony's team included a retired chemistry teacher, 2 mechanics, a farmer, an electrician, a nurse, and 5 construction workers. None of them had any military experience, but they all had one thing in common. They were tired of aliens telling humans what to do. They used a captured alien shuttle to approach the command ship. When alien traffic control asked for identification, Tony keyed the radio and said, "This is Earth Plumbing Services. We heard you have a backed-up waste system that needs attention." "We do not have a waste system problem," the alien controller replied. "Trust me, buddy," Tony said. "You are about to." The aliens let them land, thinking they were refugees from Earth seeking to surrender. Tony's team walked off the shuttle carrying toolboxes, chemical containers, and what looked like normal maintenance equipment. "Remember," Tony told his team as they split up inside the ship, "we are here to fix their plumbing permanently." What followed was the strangest infiltration mission in military history. The humans moved through the alien ship like they owned the place, setting up their equipment and making modifications to the ship's systems. Alice Chen, the retired chemistry teacher, found the ship's air recycling system and introduced a chemical compound that would make all the aliens very sleepy. "It is just like the stuff I use to knock out wasps," she explained over the radio. Bob Turner, the electrician, rewired the ship's electrical system so that every door would only open for humans. "Basic electrical work," he said. "These aliens use the same principles we do, just with fancier switches." The 2 mechanics, Jerry Adams and Carl Davis, found the engine room and began making improvements. "This thing is way overcomplicated," Jerry reported. "It is like someone took a perfectly good car engine and added a bunch of unnecessary parts. Can you fix it?" Tony asked. "Oh, we can fix it all right," Carl laughed. "We can fix it so good it will never work again." Meanwhile, farmer Kate Wilson had discovered the ship's food production facility and was introducing Earth bacteria into their growing systems. "Same stuff I use for composting," she said. really good for breaking down organic matter into basic components. The nurse, Patricia Moore, found the alien medical bay and replaced their healing medications with human cold medicine. It will not hurt them, she explained, but they are going to be very congested and confused for a while. The construction workers spread throughout the ship, weakening support beams and creating structural problems that would become critical if the ship tried to make any sudden movements. This is Tony calling anyone. Listening, he broadcast from the ship's command center after 6 hours of work. We have redecorated this place real nice. Any alien who wants their ship back can come pick it up at the bottom of the ocean. Tony's team had turned the alien command ship into a floating disaster. Every system was sabotaged, every safety feature was disabled, and every weapon was pointed at other parts of the ship. Tony, you need to get out of there, General Hayes ordered over the radio. Negative, Tony replied. We are not done yet. We still need to leave them a message they will never forget. The explosion was smaller than his brother's, but much more creative. Instead of destroying the ship, Tony's charges created a chain reaction that turned the command vessel into a giant firework display. The ship broke apart slowly, releasing clouds of colorful smoke and sparks that spelled out words in English. Earth says hello. The ship was visible from 100 different worlds as it drifted through space, broadcasting human rock music and flashing lights in every direction. But the real revelation came when alien intelligence finally decoded human communication networks and discovered the truth about Earth's rapid technological advancement. Sir, the intelligence officer reported to Vexthar. We have been monitoring human broadcasts for the past month. We need to revise our assessment of this species. What do you mean? They are not primitive, sir. They have been preparing for interstellar war for over 30 years. They found one of our crashed scouts in 1995 and reverse-engineered our technology. Vexthar stared at the intelligence report. That is impossible. The ship that crashed was from our old scout fleet. It contained outdated technology. Yes, sir. But the humans did not just copy our technology. They improved it. Then they hid it. Then they waited for us to arrive. The report showed photographs of human installations that had been disguised as normal buildings, shopping malls that contained weapons factories, subway systems that were actually underground military bases, farms that grew food on the surface but manufactured spacecraft components underground. How long have they been preparing? Based on their communication records, sir, they began serious preparation immediately after finding our scout ship. They have been planning this war for an entire human generation. What about their weapons? Their ships? All based on our technology, but modified using human engineering principles. They took our efficient, specialized designs and made them adaptable, improvised, and unpredictable. Vexthar looked at tactical displays showing human ships throughout the solar system. They were flying vessels that looked like they had been built in workshops and garages, but they performed better than hegemony military craft. They turned our own technology against us. Yes, sir, and they shared it with every rebel species in the galaxy. The rebellion is not just using human tactics anymore. They are using human-modified versions of our own weapons. The final shock came when Hegemony High Command sent their own intelligence assessment. Earth was not just one rebellious planet anymore. Earth had become the center of a galactic revolution that was spreading faster than the hegemony could contain it. Commander Vexthar, came the message from Home Command. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Do not engage human forces any further. Do not attempt to establish orbital control. Leave the system and report to headquarters for reassignment. Sir, we still have superior numbers, Vexthar protested. We can still win this war. No, Commander. You cannot. The humans have already won. They have turned our greatest conquest into our greatest defeat. Every day we stay in their system, more species join their rebellion. Withdraw now or lose the entire galaxy. As the alien fleet prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Vexthar received one final transmission from the planet's surface. It was from President Morrison speaking directly to him. Commander, this is Jake Morrison, President of Earth. I want you to take a message back to your leaders. I am listening, Vexthar replied. The war ended not with a great battle, but with the aliens simply leaving. After 8 months of constant harassment, sabotage, and psychological warfare, the hegemony decided that Earth was not worth the cost of conquest. Commander Vexthar's final report to his superiors was short. requesting immediate reassignment. These humans are completely insane. They fight like wild animals who learned how to build spaceships. Recommend avoiding all human systems until further notice. President Jake Morrison stood in the Rose Garden behind the White House, addressing a crowd of reporters and military personnel. The alien ships were visible in the distance, retreating beyond the moon's orbit for the last time. Today we did not just defend our world, Morrison said. We proved something important about human nature. We do not surrender, we do not back down, and we definitely do not take orders from anyone who thinks they can just show up and tell us what to do. The crowd cheered, but Morrison raised his hand for quiet. More importantly, we learned that we are not alone in wanting to be free. Across the galaxy, dozens of species have thrown off the chains of the hegemony. They did it using human tactics, human weapons, and human stubbornness. Today, Earth becomes the unofficial capital of what we are calling the Free Galaxy Alliance. The real victory came in the months that followed. Earth's orbital stations were expanded to accommodate delegations from 47 different worlds. The United Nations building was enlarged to include meeting chambers for species that breathed different atmospheres and required different gravity settings. General Lisa Hayes found herself in a position she had never expected, training alien military commanders in human warfare tactics. Her first class included representatives from 12 different species, all eager to learn what she called the human doctrine. The key to fighting like a human, Hayes explained to her students, is to never fight the war your enemy expects. If they prepare for space battles, fight them on the ground. If they expect ground battles, fight them inside their own ships. And if they expect conventional weapons, give them something they have never seen before. She held up a modified leaf blower that had been converted into a plasma rifle. This used to blow leaves off sidewalks. Now it can disable alien shields. The beauty of human engineering is that we can turn anything into a weapon. The lizard people from Vega were particularly interested in human camouflage techniques. How do you hide entire military installations? Asked their representative, a 7-foot-tall creature with green scales and yellow eyes. We do not hide them, Hayes replied. We disguise them as something normal. The aliens expected to find military bases, so we built shopping malls and subway systems instead. They looked for weapons factories, so we put them under farms and schools. This seems dishonest, Hayes smiled. In human warfare, there is no such thing as dishonest. There is only effective and ineffective. The aliens lost because they played by rules that we never agreed to follow. Dr. Helen Martinez had become the galaxy's leading expert on alien technology, not through careful academic study, but by taking apart every piece of hegemony equipment she could find and rebuilding it the human way. Her laboratory in Nevada had been expanded into a full research complex where scientists from dozens of worlds worked together to improve captured alien technology. The philosophy was simple. If it was not loud enough, make it louder. If it was not explosive enough, add more explosives. If it could not be weaponized, they were not trying hard enough. The hegemony's mistake, Martinez explained to a visiting delegation from Proxima Centauri, was making their technology too specialized. Every piece of equipment had one specific function. Humans make tools that can be used for multiple purposes. She showed them a device that looked like a combination of a coffee maker, a radio, and a small cannon. This is a standard human field kit. It makes coffee, receives communications, provides heating, charges electronic devices, and launches explosive projectiles. The aliens never understood that humans want their tools to do everything. Captain Amy Davis, now Admiral Davis, commanded humanity's first purpose-built starship fleet. The vessels were designed using human engineering principles. They were fast, adaptable, and capable of being repaired using spare parts from completely different types of equipment. Admiral, reported her communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, we are receiving a distress call from the Tau Ceti system. Hegemony forces are trying to retake the system using new tactics. What kind of new tactics? They are copying human methods, ma'am. Improvised weapons, guerrilla attacks, psychological warfare. Davis laughed. They think they can out-human the humans? This should be interesting. Set course for Tau Ceti. Let us go show them how it is really done. The ship that carried Admiral Davis to Tau Ceti was a perfect example of human space engineering. It looked like someone had taken a luxury cruise ship, a garbage truck, and a fighter jet, then welded them together and added rockets. It should not have been able to fly, but it was one of the fastest ships in the galaxy. "Admiral," Kim reported as they approached the battle zone, "the fish people are holding their own, but they could use some help." The Tau Ceti system was full of underwater cities where the fish people lived in vast coral reefs. The hegemony was trying to retake the system by poisoning the water, but the fish people had learned human tactics and were fighting back. "This is Admiral Davis calling Tau Ceti Defense Forces," she broadcast. "What can we do to help?" "Admiral Davis," came the reply from the fish people's leader. "The hegemony is using chemical weapons in our oceans. They learned this from studying human tactics. Did they learn the countermeasures too?" "What countermeasures?" Davis smiled. "Humans have been dealing with water pollution for 200 years. We know how to clean it up. Transmitting purification protocols now. Within hours, human environmental technology was cleaning the poisoned water while human-trained fish people launched surprise attacks on hegemony ships. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that could neutralize their chemical weapons and attack from underwater at the same time. The Battle of Tau Ceti became famous throughout the galaxy as the first time the hegemony retreated from a system twice. They had conquered it using traditional methods, lost it to human-trained rebels, tried to retake it using human methods, and lost it again to actual humans. 5 years after the invasion of Earth, the galaxy was a very different place. The hegemony still existed, but it no longer expanded its territory. Word had spread that there were species in the galaxy who would not only fight back, but would do so in ways that defied all logical military doctrine. President Morrison, now in his second term, stood before the Galactic Assembly in the new United Nations building in orbit around Earth. Representatives from 83 worlds filled the chamber, including several former hegemony species who had joined the rebellion. 5 years ago, aliens came to Earth and ordered us to surrender, Morrison said. We laughed at them then, and we are still laughing now. But we are not laughing at them anymore. We are laughing with them. He gestured to the hegemony representatives in the back of the chamber. A small group of aliens had come to Earth seeking asylum after refusing to participate in further conquests. Today, I am proud to announce that the Free Galaxy Alliance has achieved something that no military force has ever accomplished. We have convinced our enemies to join us. The former hegemony commander, Vexthar, stood up slowly. He had spent 2 years on Earth learning human ways and had decided that freedom was better than conquest. "Honorable representatives," he said in carefully practiced English, "I speak for those of my people who wish to change. We have learned that strength comes not from controlling others but from working together. Humans taught us this." "How did they teach you?" asked a representative from Wolf 359. Vexthar smiled, an expression his species had learned from humans. "They offered us coffee and asked if we wanted to help build something instead of destroying it. No one had ever asked us that before." The Free Galaxy Alliance had become more than a military organization. It was a collection of worlds that shared technology, culture, and ideas. Human coffee shops operated on alien worlds. Alien art was displayed in human museums. Children from dozens of species attended schools together on Earth. But the most important change was philosophical. The galaxy had learned that diversity was strength, that cooperation was more powerful than conquest, and that freedom was worth fighting for. Admiral Davis stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching as a convoy of refugee ships approached Earth's orbital stations. These were people fleeing hegemony worlds where old-style rulers still tried to maintain control. "Another group seeking freedom?" asked her tactical officer. "Looks like it. Send them the usual welcome package, medical supplies, food, and an invitation to join the Alliance. And the military training offer?" Davis smiled the same smile she had worn during humanity's first space battle 5 years ago. "Of course. They came to us because they heard what happens when you fight alongside humans. Let us not disappoint them." The hegemony had made a critical error in their assessment of Earth. They had seen a young species with primitive technology and assumed easy conquest. They failed to understand that humans had spent their